Hey, how are you? In this season of lockdown, a lot of your private life is all you have. You're reduced to yourself, maybe to the people who are in the same flat or in the same family. But chances are much of what you reached before is now only through a screen or and it feels a bit lonely. Maybe you feel like a lot of your life is parked right now and the aspirations and goals and dreams that you had are like, oh, how can I get there if all by myself? Faith starts in the secret. Faith starts in the private. I want to read to you in the next couple of videos out of Matthew 6 a few verses and then give you some ideas what to do when you're all by yourself. Character is what you do when no one is watching and when it looks like it doesn't matter. Let me read from Matthew 6 verse 1. And I'm reading from a simple translation written by N.T. Wright. When you're practicing your piety, mind you don't do it with an eye on the audience. Otherwise, you won't have any reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the poor, don't sound a trumpet in front of you. That's what the people do when they're just play acting in the synagogues and the streets. They do it so that people will be impressed at them. I'm telling you the truth. They've received the reward in full. No, when you give money, don't let your left hand have any idea what your right hand is up to. That way, your giving will be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will repay you. I love that. God sees in secret. Now, some read that like God, the surveillance state that he is, God, the big brother, he sees in secret. Well, that's not what it says. It says your Father. It means right now, you're living with your Father in your flat and he knows you personally. He's been there since you became a human and are here, you're living on this planet. He knows you intimately and deeply. And that's how his attitude is to you. He really sees you in secret. He knows you. Now here it says, when you give. I like that because Jesus is assuming that when you follow him, you will give. Not if at some point, given the chances, you might give. No. When. God expects that it will flow out of a relationship of following Jesus. When you give, don't sound a trumpet in front of you. Now I haven't seen that haven't seen that happening so far. But what I know is that people often say all the good things they have done. When you don't say what you've done well, when you keep it in secret, what you do is you point to God. How is that happening? Well, someone years ago when we were living in Peru, my family and I, someone gave money to the letterbox of our house, but there was no name on it except ours. And my father saw it, my dad, and he was so excited, and we had needed some money. But since we didn't know who it was, we couldn't thank anybody but God. Because we knew that ultimately everything comes from him. And when you do it this way, you're actually showing real faith, because then you will not get any reward back from that person. You will just point to God. And when you point to God, God will point to you. When you give, don't sound a trumpet. The second part that springs out to me is that one thing about left and right hand, not knowing what they're doing. This doesn't mean you have to be uncontrolled in your giving. It just means it has to be second nature. What do I mean with that? When I started to play guitar, my left and my right hand knew exactly what they were doing. I was so willingly looking, my left hand, what is it doing? My right hand, what is it doing? And they both knew what everyone was doing. Slowly, as it became more and more second nature, I started to forget what my left and my right hand were doing. I could focus on the left or the right, or it was just happening. I could even focus on singing, and it becomes something that you just do because it's who you are, what you do. Same with bicycle riding. At the beginning, you're like, oh, my left and my right hand, what are they doing? And chances are, when children learn to ride a bicycle, they yell to people, look, I'm riding a bike, Yeah, But it's the reason they're yelling it out to people is because it's not yet become second nature. Once it becomes second nature, they're a bit older and they're used to ride a bicycle, they just go past you, and it's no big deal anymore. Jesus says, let giving, let generosity become something that is so second nature that you even don't make a big fuss about it. God sees who you are in secret, and He openly rewards those who do and act on faith privately. I don't know the challenges you're facing right now. I don't know where you see a way to give. God sees it, and and you might see it right now. God sees your faith in secret, and He rewards you for that. If you want to be more in touch with what we do as a church, then why don't you join up a Connect group if you haven't already? Why don't you watch the services that we have on Sunday? And I'll see you next time in this video. Bye guys.